So, according to the WHO, that's the World Health Organization, suicide takes a high toll. Over 800,000 people die by suicide every year, and it is the second leading cause of death in the age bracket of 15 and 29. Now, there are indications that for each adult who dies of suicide, there may be more than 20 other attempting suicide. Now, the impact of families, friends, and communities is devastating, or it has on families, friends, and communities is really devastating and far-reaching, even long after the person that is dear to them have taken their own life. Now, social, psychological, cultural, and other factors can interact to lead a person to suicidal behavior, and the stigma attached to suicide means that many people feel unable to seek help. So most suicide occur in low, medium income countries where resources and services, if they do exist, are often scarce and limited for early identification, treatment, support of the people in need of that help. Now, this striking fact that and the lack of implemented timely intervention makes suicide a very serious global public health problem that needs to be tackled urgently. So within the last 2 weeks, we've heard of multiple suicide cases. Now, the allegation is that the lady that jumped from the third Milan Bridge, right? That was one case, and of course, the recent one that surfaced over the weekend, the allegations of the Lagos State Chief of Staff's wife, who allegedly took her own life by taking sniper. That is also another case, right? So today we're asking ourselves, and we're asking as a community, how do you think we can begin to help with suicide prevention? Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also tweet at us at WayShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WayShow. So, I don't know. I want to start the conversation by saying that there's absolutely nothing that is worth me taking my life. Is it loss of relationship? Is it loss of a child? Is it loss of, income? Anything, right? I've struggled with the idea of sitting down and just saying to myself, I think it's time to end it. It's not sitting well. So I really want to hear, the mind of someone that has had suicidal thoughts. Like, why? Because it means that at that point you have just lost hope. I mean, that's why the quote for the day really resonates, right? Is that you have just not seen any other future other than, do you understand? Like, It has completely blocked you from seeing the possibility of ever coming out of that situation. So, I mean, Tiwa Savage, we were jokingly talking about her sex tape and all of that. She has done a hit back to back on top of the sex tape. Like, so do you get my point? Like, if it is for what people will say or whatever it is, these things will pass. And guess what? It will be like it never happened. So why someone will sit down and think of suicide and then goes ahead, to commit it, is still a big struggle for me. I really do not understand, and I wish someone will help me. Recently, my mom was in the house and she brought in all these high blood pressure thing. I was giving my sister the gist yesterday. I was laughing. I said, my mother does not know what she's dealing with. There's absolutely nothing. Like, I can literally love something to death. But if that thing is going to cost me my peace of mind, is going to cost me my health, my mental stability, I will let it go. Do you understand? I will let it go because, I mean, there's a coach of mine, God rest his soul, that says all the time that what doesn't cost life can be replaced. Anything can be replaced. Husband can be replaced. Wife can be replaced. Children can be replaced. Money can be, every single thing can be replaced. The only irreplaceable thing is your life. And guess what? When you take that life, right, it's gone. There's nothing bringing you back. So why I will get to that point where I have completely lost hope is the question I'm asking. And how can we, as a people, begin to identify these things and really help, if there's a way to help?
Okay. So when you talk about suicidal thoughts, it comes to, or for those who have experienced it, it comes to you in different ways. The major thing is that we all know that we say is when you've gotten to at a low point in your life with a particular situation. It could be in your marriage, it could be at work, it could be something that makes you question, go into a phase where you start to question things. And once you start to question things, you start to give up on certain, you start to make certain decisions in your subconscious, because you get to the point where you're wondering, okay, why am I alive? Why am I this? See,
what's the point?
What's the point? So it starts from that, what's the point? And the moment you create, remember that how our brain functions, the moment you create that loophole, your mind starts to wander within that.
And the universe will not feed you.
This is minus devil doing his work. He feeds you, that's that feeding. Feeds you with so many things that you cannot explain. And it gets you deeper and deeper. I have gone through that experience before. Not something I'll share tonight, but I understand how bad it makes you, and I know how I felt at the time. It's not like I really wanted to. It's not like you really want to die. For me, it didn't get that bad, but the fact that you have the thoughts is just, it now depends on how you manage it. You can either go this extreme where you get to the bridge and say, you know what, I want to end it today. I didn't get to that point, but you get to the point where you start to ponder on things that you shouldn't even find yourself thinking about. And that is what drives you to make certain decisions. You see people, they pour, from lighting themselves up to go taking an Uber all the way from your house to the bridge, well dressed, and then you jump over the bridge. There are different things, but it's okay. There's a level to which we have to understand how this thing happens in the mind. It's hard to explain because if you've never been through the experience, you would never be able to. It's hard to even explain to someone else how you even found yourself as strong as you look, thinking in that line. It's not something that people don't. It doesn't just happen, but it's something that had started in the subconscious, and your brain just works and works and works, and your brain doesn't know how to say I don't. It removes certain and turns it around. So
absolutely. Let me come to you, Mary.
Suicide. I mean, it's so different to everybody. Like Wajaka has said, how it hits you is unexplainable, I must say. But community, checking up on people is something that really helps. And I would say background now in terms of upbringing and what you expose yourself to. Like she said, I've been in a similar position, but I kept telling myself, you know better not to do this thing. Like, it's going to cause more harm than good. I mean, living your mom, you have your mom there. Okay, if she wasn't alive, you can say nobody's there, but this is one person who's going to suffer. So I could hold on to that to say, I don't want to put her through that
pain. So that was strong enough.
Yes, so I don't want to
keep you away from it.
So I don't want to put her through that pain. So I would take it step by step. I'll say, okay, you know what? Maybe tomorrow will be better. And because I knew about personal development, I go to church, so I could hold on to those things. So my friends would call me because I was quiet on social media, which is very unlike me. Do you get? And these thoughts it was a tiring phase. It's a phase you can't really explain. And like she said, the thoughts keep coming. Like, they literally keep coming up in your head. But that self-will, and because I had gotten to that stage, I had been reading a lot of books. Like I said, I read a lot on mental health, personal development. So that helped me a lot. That helped to form a bridge to say, okay, Mary, you know better than this. You've read this thing. You've heard people's stories about suicide. You know that there is nothing good about it. It's just a phase you're in. You would get over this. It can be better. It can be better. And so slowly, I go to church. I listen to people's stories, watch YouTube. Somehow I'm able to come up, and clothes and beauty really did something for me. So it's like I feel sad. Okay, this is the last money I have. Let me go
Let
and
me go
do
and
my
shop.
hair. Do you understand? Let me go and do my
The
nails.
nails.
You know, those little.
It's very therapy.
Those,
Because
yeah,
I
very
tell
therapeutic.
people that when I do my hair, my nails, is for me is therapy. People
See.
don't know that. They just think that you want to be vain. It's not.
It's not.
But I want to say that, did it really help when your friends reached out to you? Because we're talking community. Did it really help
I'm
you?
someone who, in that position, I must say, I didn't want to hear anybody. I didn't want to hear. So people, my friends would try to talk to me, but it's almost like I even became envious of how good their life is at that point, to say, what do you have to say to me? Do you get? So I actually did not, I legit did not want to listen to anybody.
Wow.
But what I noticed is that they were still there.
They were persistent.
Do you understand? They were there in the sense that, you know, it's okay. We understand you're going through something. Whenever you want to, just know that we are here. And that also helps me a lot. Just knowing that you have people that are there. Even my mom, you know, because I was going through some certain things that I had to refer back to my childhood. And I was trying to bring my mom along and, you know, talk her through the conversation. Say, okay, you know what? I think I'm like this because see this thing happened this way. Her generation is way older than mine. She's not understanding what I'm saying. And I told myself, I said, you know what? I think sometimes you need to love people from afar. You need to understand that she doesn't understand you doesn't mean that she doesn't love you. Do you understand? So she's just not able to comprehend. Do you get? And give you that right, because I'm telling her, oh mom, I think I need to go for therapy, and she thinks it's just a white people kind of thing. Do you understand? She's like, you know, you're just bringing these things upon yourself. And so because of my own knowledge, of my own exposure of things, I'm like, it's fine, I get it. You know, your generation is different from mine, and that's okay. If I can afford it, I will go for my therapy. I know why I want to heal. I know what I want to heal from, but you don't know, you know, and that's fine. And whatever impact you had, like on me, you know, from childhood, I would take it as you just didn't know better. You just didn't know better. So personal development helps, you know, creating awareness around it. You know, it's funny when we talk about it these days, about mental health, but I'm telling you, it is key because people are losing themselves. Mental health is not for you to become lazy, as people term it as, but it's truly that people are going through tough times. People see me, my friends see me, and they say, yeah, I'm not going through anything. And I look back, so, well, thank God I do not look like my problems. And I pray never to look like my problems. Do you understand?
Absolutely. Let me come to you, Chinelo. I mean, there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah. Okay, I think I'm going to talk about this from the angle of how the community can actually help people. Because you see, a lot of times when we have people talk to us about their problems, we try to tell people, oh, man up, oh, don't be that, don't be like that. It's not that deep. But the truth is that not everybody has the will to make lemonade out of lemons, right? Some people just can't. I mean, it's just the way that they are. And they depend on your strength, or, you know, how you can help them at that moment. Excuse me, at that moment. And if you are downplaying their feelings, or you're not listening to them, or you're not being empathetic, it can be very discouraging, very, very discouraging, and that's what might not lead them to go ahead with, you know, committing suicide. So I always say this, that it's very important to have a strong support system. I say the SSS, strong support system, very, very, very important, because you, like me rightly said, when there are certain situations you find yourself in, and help people talking to you, or having people you can even talk to in the first place, would actually make you feel a whole lot better. Apart from the whole, you know, getting your nails done, getting your lashes done, and all of that, right? Yeah, of course, that also helps.
Therapy.
Beauty therapy.
It's also important that we as the community, or as a society, learn to actually intervene by empathizing with people. There are certain things that you shouldn't say. It's just like when we're talking about grief the other day. You see someone and then you're telling the person something like, yeah, at least he has gone to be with them. There's some things that you shouldn't say to somebody that has just lost someone, because you think that's your own way of making the person feel better, but it's actually not working. If you don't have anything to say, just keep quiet. That can help as well. Just holding the person's hands and
absolutely.
allowing the person cry, allowing the person feel the way. Do you know, allowing somebody feel the way they actually feel is something.
Yes.
And not just, I'm not saying don't feel like that. Why are you feeling like that? No, no, no. Allow the person dwell and bask in that euphoria at the time, and then later you can now come back and, you know, be more empathetic. Because I think that's one thing we need to learn in Nigeria, proper intervention.
Okay, so I'd like to open our phone lines, right? It will be important for us to help ourselves here. We're just trying to be vulnerable, right? We'll tell our own stories, of course, and try to see how we can help whoever that is out there. We don't know who this is reaching, but I mean, if you need to talk, please call us. But we'll open our phone lines when we come back from the break. Stay with us. All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just tuned in, it's our ladies' night out, and we are discussing the topic, how can the community help with suicide prevention? That's the conversation now. Please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at PlusTvAfrica1 with a hashtag WaveShow. Please, the SMS and WhatsApp line is for SMS and WhatsApp only. Somebody was trying to call this number. We can't take the call. The number to call, however, is 07025 007749. That's the number to call. 07025 007749. So, I mean, let's bring it back home to us, our gender as women. So, it's not clear yet. But many a times when there are issues with relationships, right? Your spouse is probably cheating on you, or something, you find out he has a child outside, or a mistress or something, you know, because of the emotions that is tied to that bond called maybe marriage or maybe committed partnership and all of that, it's usually hard, right, on you. It hits you really hard. So I am wondering, as women, how can we begin to dissociate emotions when we're dealing with relationships? Because when I started reevaluating my relationship, I started saying to myself that there are some things that are not worth the stress. There are things that are not worth the because now you're not only it takes a toll on your health. You start to break out. You start to have headaches when you're not supposed to be having headaches. You're having all sorts of mood swings. You're having everything going on, right? Now, these are allegations, but we know that these things do exist. Because one of the stories was, oh, he had a mistress and all of that, and she went and she took a substance. Now, these are allegations, but we know that in reality it does happen. And so, for me, when it comes to issues around a spouse cheating or something, is it worth me killing myself? So, if we want to now go back to the community, how do we begin to tell ourselves as women? Let's begin to build that communal bond where we are talking to ourselves. That I have said it, I will say it on national TV. The man that will make me slap another woman, he has not been created, he has not been invented. Not to talk of the one that will make me now take my own life. Like, I will not fight another woman for a man, not to talk of taking my own life. It's not possible. It's not going to happen. And this is not issue of that I don't love the person or it's not pride. No. If you don't love me enough to respect me and respect the relationship and the bond that we have, then you're not worth my energy. You're not worth my... I'm not going to fight over you. If I need to fight for your love, it does not exist. Do you understand? So I'm just saying to us, like, because part of what we need to start to tell ourselves is that, as women, when you know these things really get to you, how can you separate emotions so that you not allow your emotions wrap around your head? So you just separate. See, once you begin to, like the onion peel, you're able to separate issues. Guess what? The things will not hit you as deep as it would if your emotions were all muddled up inside. So let's start to compartmentalize. That is one way we can help ourselves. Let's talk to ourselves. We can start to compartmentalize issues, right? Somebody cheated, no problem. He cheated, is fine, you know? And separate issues. That's on one hand. Secondly, the allegation about the lady that jumped over the 3rd Milan Bridge. We already know that these things happen. As an Uber driver, right, or a car hailing service driver, what are you supposed to do? According to allegations, there was a heated argument and everything. What would you... So how do we start to train people to be a lot more conscious, right? To say, you know what? okay, I hear you that you need to calm down, or you need to stop, but I cannot stop here. Let me get you a safe place and location. Do you understand? Because if the guy was trained in a way that they understand, because there's some things that I will not do. I was driving one day and somebody was heavily drunk and all of that. Stop the car, stop. I said, stop which car? That was when I accelerated the more, because keep moving. Do you understand? Because I wasn't sure what the line of action was going to be, right? So I'm saying that, how do we now start to train ourselves? So when we spot these red flags, we are able to, you understand, tell the person and nip it. Now the other lady that says, okay, give me time, I want to be by myself, I want to sleep and all of that. What would have happened differently when, according to the story, oh, make a hot cup of tea for me, I want to sleep and all? What should have happened differently? Shouldn't there be like, oh, no, you're going through a lot, let me just sit by your side? Do you understand? Those kind of small things. So I get that people want to be by themselves and all of that, but sometimes you need to really invade their privacy if you must. You know, but let me hear your thoughts. What do you think we can really actively do?
I feel that there's a need for us to be a bit more sensitive. So when you're around people, like you said, there are a few red flags that will go up. If I'm in a car, you're asking me to stop after being a witness to such a conversation and a heated argument, I already know that you're not in the right frame of mind. So, like you said, insisting, oh, let's wait to, okay, it's late, or, you know, this place is lonely, let's get to maybe where there's a police stop or something, which gives time for even breath of fresh air. Or there are certain times you've been maybe in a situation and you just get off the phone and the next person beside you would ask you, are you okay?
Yeah.
Because the person is sensitive enough to see that there has been a change in your mood and behavior. So when I sense that, I can now use the wisdom and the knowledge of that information to actually advise you, or to try and calm you down, or to try and change your mindset from where it is. If someone, that's why you see some people joke around people who are not, you know, just to make them smile, so that you're sure that, okay, there's still that part, still, because people get into situations like this, you can't, you know, myself and Mary had said earlier, you can't exactly tell how you feel at the time. But yes, when I was going through my situation, I had a friend, I wasn't staying at home, and I went to a friend's house. And in her house, I remember that there was a particular day, you know, I had been, you know, she had been trying to get me out of this mood, but I had gotten worse and worse into it. And I stepped out of her house, leaving my phone in the house, and I walked out. I walked out of the house. I think I was out of the house for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
I was just walking on the streets of Lekki. I don't live in Lekki, but I was just walking on the streets of Lekki. And then I walked back, and then 2 hours later, I walked into the house, and I didn't know she was having a panic attack while being at home, because you can't explain to anyone where your friend has gone and she came to stay with you, and her phone is in your house, and you can't tell where her location is. And I know, but at the time I wasn't thinking. Anything could have happened on that way. I could have decided, you know what, Third Mainland Bridge, let's go. I could have done anything. But at the time, for me, how I could deal with it was I needed space. So I needed to take that walk, ask myself all those questions, look at life, even see other people's problems along the way. Because there's a way that certain times where...
You don't realize that your own is not that deep.
Thank you. We're so into what is happening to us that you don't even realize that there are people going through worse. So sometimes when you see it, resets that. That means life is not at its end yet. And for me, like Mary said, it's always a personal decision. I had to read myself out of it. I literally was in a space where I knew that if I didn't get help from either external or myself, I was going to get into this. I was going to find myself in this kind of situation. And I made the decision I wanted to be out of it. But I didn't know how to help myself. So what I did was I started to Google. First of all, I went to Google books, short books that I can read myself out of depression. You would not believe what I found. And I actually found a Christian book. I downloaded it on my phone. And I read it. It was like 7 pages or something. But every verse, you know, there are certain questions you ask yourself and I couldn't answer, and they were answered there, you know, because they were used. It's a Christian book. So for every question, like, why is this happening to me? There was a Bible verse that will talk you out of it, that tells you, you know, See, things happen for a reason, and I have a plan for you, a plan to bring you to an expected end. So you have no choice than to tell yourself, even this in itself
will pass.
Will pass. Because if there's an expected end and I feel this is not it, then it's coming to pass. So there are certain decisions you have to make, but every time when it comes to things like depression, mental health, it always has to be a personal decision. You can have people around you for support, and they help to kick you in and out of certain situations, but ultimately it's a personal decision, because at the end of the day, most of these people, they've been spoken to by people. They've gone through situations, they've spoken to their friends, they've had chats with their friends. All your friends have different opinions, but they're not going through the situation you're going through. So that's why I keep saying it's still left with you. If you feel that your life has no other purpose, is when you allow yourself to get to this point where you actually take your own life.
Mary.
That's why I think I really do appreciate the years like staying with my parents, and would I say not forced, but the enforcement of Christianity, you know, for me growing up. I was not a spirit cocoa, but even till now there's still that, you know, that there's God. Do you understand? Okay, you're feeling down, reach out. You know, your Bible is there. Pray. You know, that's because I would say because of my upbringing. At least every Sunday we would go to church, we would do family prayer together. So yes, my parents might not be in my generation, but at least they passed something down to me to say, okay, I might not be able to understand you, but God in heaven, He understands this your little issues and
just
whatever. Whatever it might be.
Somebody calls my own brain touch.
Do you understand? So my mom will say, go to God, or go to God, go to God. And even as I'm talking to her, I'm trying to say, oh, mommy, you know, I feel I need therapy. She'll be saying, just pray, go to church. And it sounds, sometimes I'm like, oh, please, like, come on, faith with the church. But subconsciously, it's registering in my head to say, you know, open the Bible and just read one passage. And definitely, I think we can do better. Social media has really, really helped as well. You know, we see all these refreshing videos, people paying attention to aesthetics. These little things is calming our mind. People are talking of meditation, people are talking of yoga. So I think we're doing very well, you know, and we can do better with creating more exposure as to why people should take little time out, you know, figure out your purpose. When you start, you know, telling a child about these little things, when they grow up and they're in a fix in such position,
they'll know what to do.
You know, they will know what to do, and they won't be at that point of pushing themselves to the extreme. Okay,
so in case with all these moral conversations that we're having, it's not hitting you well, let me just state it here that it is a crime to commit or attempt to commit suicide in Nigeria. Those who survive the sad ordeal are still further haunted by the Nigerian legal system, which views attempted suicide as an offense under the law rather than a cry for help. Survivors of suicide attempts rather run the risk of being prosecuted by the government as criminals instead of being provided with adequate therapy. So love and care, adequate therapy, love and care to prevent future attempts. Now, in case you did not know, because you know we're talking about this thing is sounding really nice. There was a guy at I think the Ojo Elegba bridge that was attempting suicide, and people started throwing stones at him. Eventually he was rescued. That guy would have to face the law. Because you see, there's the thing, if you attempt a suicide and it fails, right, that's double jeopardy, because you're not only going to feel the pain that you are feeling that wanted you to that made you to want to commit the suicide in the first place. You are now going to face the law for the attempt
I don't know
of
how
suicide.
I feel about that, though.
So that's the thing.
What do you think about it?
No, so that's the thing. That's why most people try to make sure that they succeed
to the end. Because
do you understand? They try to make sure that they succeed, because if you don't succeed at committing suicide, you will face the law, right? Go ahead.
Let me say, you know, committing suicide once is actually a risk factor to committing suicide again. So chances are that when someone tries to commit suicide the first time, if they fail, chances that they will try to commit suicide again is very high. So I think that's what the legal system is trying to curb there. But yeah, maybe maybe you're not seeing it that way. You're seeing that's being too harsh. But instead, the person needs more love, care, and support and whatnot.
Take them to a mental home.
No, so that's the thing. The Nigerian law does not require. It does not.
No,
understand.
I know
so
what
that's
the
why
law
I'm
is.
saying that now.
Prison.
No, so you can't even take them to prison because they will be a menace to themselves. So I don't know what the eventual sentence would be when you're prosecuted. But the point I'm trying to make is, so before it even gets to that point where somebody's even trying to attempt to commit suicide, what can we do? And that's why, the conversation we're even having, it is identify this hotbed. There's somebody that's always lively, jovial, and everything. All of a sudden, the person becomes really quiet. Why is the person quiet all of a sudden? Why is the person not the vibrant self and all of that? But I think we have a call. I think we're having issues with the line. Hello, you're live.
Good evening, my sister.
Good evening.
Sounds like Loma.
Yeah,
Loma.
this is Loma from Abia Peace.
Thank you, Loma. Good evening.
See, I think based on the question asked, how can the community help with suicide prevention?
Yes.
First and foremost, I want to let people know, for you to take your own life, you have done yourself the worst thing on earth, taking your own life. Now, when we see somebody around us, maybe you look at somebody within the neighborhood, the way the person usually do, he doesn't behave that way again. He is always moody. I think we need to be asked, we need to go close and ask questions. What is your problem? If it is something that we can solve, maybe monetary problem, we solve it. Then it is something that we can give moral advice. We give, just like one of my sisters here who said that there is a portion in the Bible that says, the thought I think towards you is of good and not of evil, and to give you expected end. That is one thing. One problem with so many people is that we decided to neglect these particular holy books. Because some of these holy books pointed out some areas, some of the problems that people are passing through. You may be in a position or in a condition that you're about to destroy yourself. But when you go through spiritual counselors and they just help you in leading you through the verses of the Bible or any other holy book, I'm telling you, you will get out of your problem. So what I'm just saying is that we need to go to people, not leaving them. Let them stay on their own. Let us not dabble into their private life. If you fail to dabble into that person's private life, before you know it, that person will fall into lagoon. Before you know it, that person will just hang himself. So there is need for closer monitoring of our neighbors, of our sisters, of our brothers to know when the spirit of that person is going down.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. It's just what you said, the sensitivity of observing. Let's take some comments. Good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying? Ways. The community, how can they help? So is just on point. She made mention of someone not having the right to take a life. No matter the magnitude of the problem, no one has the right to take a life. Suicide is a way of increasing the problem, not solving it. Trust me, there is no space and accommodation in heaven for someone who commits suicide. Wow. You cannot suffer on earth and go and suffer in hellfire. A word is enough for the wise. Daniel, you are very harsh this evening. So how can the community help with preventing suicide? Is by taking them for therapy, for advanced counseling. My dear sister Nwajaga, happy birthday to you. I wish you God's blessings, protection. It is well with you now and always. My name is Daniel Ilo.
Thank you,
Where's
Daniel.
regular fan? Go ahead, let's take some comments.
It says, growing up there was high level of community affinity. Not so today. You can discipline a wayward child without permission from the parents, but do that today, may God help you. Today is ditent with with high fence, demarcating our houses. Stress leading to depression can be avoided. Therapy is important. Once you get to the boiling point, read up a book, especially the Bible, go for a a walk, like me, no matter how depressed, once I play Scrabble, he's drowned immediately. Nothing is worth killing oneself, like Uwa said. Mental illness is a taboo to talk about here due to ignorance or stigma. There should be mental evaluation for everyone at least once a year, because I have seen a well-dressed lady only to start exhibiting madness in a mall. This is Austin from Delta.
Absolutely. Go ahead quickly. Mary.
In Nigeria, the suicide is not new per se, but a new avenue for people to escape hopelessness. Nigerians usually had a strong community system of family and extended family before, but that has been replaced by social media, TV, etc. So many times I have been in a crowd of people and everybody is being alone with their phones. So it is difficult to see pain when it is invisible behind a smile. People have to embrace the ability to be simply asking people how they are, to know what is going on with them. And if that sincerity is in your voice, you might just have saved someone's life.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that comment. Go ahead, Chinelo.
Oh, I read something recently and put this in focus. Today, the amount of information we see online can easily put us down. Even if we're as good as the community champion, seeing someone else's post can easily make us feel that we're not enough. But if we didn't see the post, we won't even feel down. The downside to social media is the law of comparison. Healthy comparison is good, but sometimes comparison is a thief of joy. I know someone who made headlines in the news some years ago when they killed themselves. The effect of their death on the family really pained me. These things aren't easily visible, and then when you ask why, it's usually things that are out of our control. All of us worry, but from meditation and other good resources, I found out that our mindset directs everything. I stay away from religious people because due to the way the scriptures are, people aren't wise enough to avoid fast judgment of actions. They don't listen to understand. They listen to judge.
Just to add that we cannot really predict what can trigger us. Sometimes just an unexpected event turns the beast in us, or the beast in the best of us. Absolutely. But I think we've had a good conversation. We'll keep this conversation going. It's not something that we can end up in just one show.
Oh, sorry, please. Before we go, I would also want to say, I think we need to ban lethal substances. Lethal one in this case, sniper. Because if we look at it,
too many cases have been linked to that.
Yes,
yes.
Absolutely. No,
but regulate
we have to
it.
regulate
You ban
it.
sniper, people go to bleach. There's always something.
Yeah.
There's always
No, but we have to
something.
regulate
Let's start
the
from
purchase.
somewhere,
Let's start
yeah.
from somewhere. I totally agree with you.
Okay.
We ran out of time now. If you follow us on all our social media platforms, if you missed our quotes for today, here it is again. Suicide doesn't end the chances of life getting worse. It eliminates the possibilities of it ever getting any better. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Please, please speak to someone. Don't take your life.
Bye.